Hello, and welcome back to another episode of The Advocate with Abkarian. It's nice to have you guys back. We are going to, as you know, cover different information, politics, local news, arts, sports, and accordingly you'll see a different type of program on a weekly basis in English. So today we are very, very pleased to have our newly appointed city manager, Yasmin Beers with us today. She has been appointed approximately about a month or two now?
It's been a month, a little over a month, Albert, yes.
Not understanding that you were an acting city manager before that.
Yes.
And before that you were an assistant city manager. So it's not like it's a brand new thing to you. And we'll get your background of how many years you've been in the city. So every time we get started in our program, we always ask our guests, tell us a little bit about you personally, about yourself.
Sure.
So tell us about Yasmin Beer.
First of all, thank you so much for having me on your show. I really, I'm very excited for the opportunity to be before you and your audience to tell you a little bit about myself. I've been a part of this community for almost 40 years, wow. and it's hard to even say those words, almost 40 years.
You look like you're 30, so I don't know how that could be possible.
You're very nice. Thank you very much. I've been working for the city of Glendale for almost 31 years. And my family and I moved to the United States actually in 1979.
That's from
Iran.
From Iran.
From Iran. And so my father's Iranian, my mother's Armenian from Iran. We moved here in 1979 and moved to Hollywood, California. Wow. Lived with my grandma for a period of time and then moved to Glendale after that in the early 80s. And I've been here ever since.
I moved here in 1979, August of 1979.
Did you really?
Yeah.
August?
August
really?
1979.
Came to the United States on August 8th of 1979.
Wow, August 31st.
Wow.
Wow.
There you go. We have
Same
something
month.
in common.
Yeah.
Yes. And so I went to Hoover High School, graduated from Hoover High School, then went to Cal State Northridge and received my bachelor's degree in political science. Some years later, went back and received my master's degree in organizational leadership from Woodbury University, and worked my way through the city organization in the last 31 almost years. I started working at the Glendale Public Library, shelving books at the age of 17, making wow. $3.75 an hour, and worked my way through college and promoted within the organization, holding progressively professional positions within the organization, in the library, ultimately almost 19 years ago in the city manager's office as the deputy city manager, and then assistant city manager for a period of time. And as you said, I was appointed on February 20th actually of this year by the city council to be the city manager for the city of Glendale.
Needless to say, from my research at least, you're the only Armenian American city manager in California, which is a incredible joy for me and for the community. So we wanted to just tell you how happy we are that we have an Armenian American serving as a city manager in the city of Glendale. We want to thank you for, first of all, applying for that position, second, going through the headaches, because it's not all fun and games, and second of all, the community is just proud to have, every time we have an Armenian American in a higher position, we're very, very happy.
Thank you very much. It is very exciting to serve the community and the city council, and to be the first female as well as the first Armenian American, and you know, someone who worked hard to get to where I am today with a lot of help from a lot of people, and it's nice to be here. Thank you.
That's great. And you're married?
I'm married.
Your husband's name?
My husband is Dan Beers, originally from Boston, and we have two kids. 10-year-old and a 12-year-old.
Boy or girls?
The 12-year-old's a boy, and Sophia, our daughter, she is 10, and they keep us busy. Yes.
I can imagine. 10 and 12. You're very, very busy.
Yes.
And you run a city, which is amazing.
Thank you.
You know, we've had city managers before, and each one has a different stamp on the city, so to speak. Not always the right stamp, but they have their own stamp.
Sure.
What is Yasmin Beers going to do for the city of Glendale that's different, that brings in a different approach or a different stamp to the city?
You know, that's a
Loaded question.
A very loaded question, and I might say I don't know, but I'll tell you who I am and what I bring to the table as it relates to the organization and being part of this community for all the years that I've been a part of this community. Outside of the city organization, just by way of interests, and part of my blood is to also be involved in community life and community affairs and volunteerism. That's very important to me. And so, you know, that stamp, we'll see what that is, hopefully in a legacy maybe 10 years from now. But I think we have an organization, the City of Glendale, and we have 1,587 at this point full-time employees. And at any point, depending on the time of year, we have anywhere from 400 to 700 part-time employees seasonally who work for us. So we're upwards of 2,000 employees when you look at both part-time and full-time employees. And they work exceptionally hard for this community to provide the services to the 200,000+ people who either live or come to work or play in the city of Glendale. And we try to provide the services for the quality of life services here in the city of Glendale with exceptional customer service. And that's a loaded word as well, but you know, truly I want to be able to have that legacy that says, turn things around and look at it from the perspective of the consumer, the customer. And I say consumer because oftentimes I think folks think of the public sector as a bureaucracy. And absolutely, I'm not going to say we're not a bureaucracy. There are certain regulations that we have to abide by, whether they're state regulations, they're city regulations, or federal regulations. There's a whole lot of them. But if you turn all of that around and look at it from the perspective of the community, the consumer, what their needs are in terms of what we're providing them versus what we need to provide, what we need from them, from our eyes, oftentimes is slightly different. From very simplistic forms that folks need to fill out for permits to not so simplistic types of forms that they need to fill out if it's, you know, some big project that needs to happen. If we're looking at it from the perspective of the community, I think we'll be able to provide that exceptional customer service in a different manner. Outside of that, truly, I have been watching the organization become a microcosm of our community as it relates to diversity. And that is very important in terms of being able to provide exceptional customer service. If you have folks who work for your organization who are reflective of the community that they serve, they are ultimately going to serve that community better because they understand what the community's needs are. And that doesn't happen overnight, as you know, and you have been part of the city for many years yourself, and you have seen, I think, the changes that have come forward, at least in the last 15+ years, and that ship takes a little bit of time to get that ship in the right direction, and I think we've been in that right direction. It's just going to take us some time to be as diverse as we need to be, to understand the needs of our very diverse community. And as you know, there's over 60 languages spoken in our school district. Yep. So what does that mean? That means we're very diverse, yep, and we need to understand what that means.
Yeah, you know, diversity going into what I'm very passionate about is diversity in the police and the fire department, which has been a passion of mine for 20 years now. And there's inroads, great inroads. I have to tell you that I think that the new interim police chief, Blvd, until he becomes a police chief, hopefully soon, has done an incredible job. I think he, honestly, truly, you can feel that he's really serious about this issue. And I've always said, we had a meeting at the Civil Service Commission, I said, we're not looking to just hire Armenians that are not qualified, contrary to some people who put that out there. We are only, but there's got to be 100,000 Armenians in the city. There's got to be qualified Armenian police and fire officers that we can hire. Absolutely. And how do you feel about police and the fire reflecting the diversity in the city?
I think we've come a long way, right? Are we where we need to be in the fire department and the police department in terms of the diversity of our needs, whether it's Armenian, Korean, Hispanic? We're not 100% there. That is an absolute moving target of trying to kind of achieve the goals that we're looking for. But my goodness, have we made a lot of strides to get to where we need to go? Most definitely we have, and we'll continue to work with the community. We'll continue to work with folks such as yourself on the commission to provide information to folks so that they will actually put in that application and hopefully know what that process is.
And follow through with it.
And follow through with it. Because we may have 100,000 people who are of Armenian descent in this community, but do they know that they're qualified and they can apply and be successful? They may not know. We just need to reach out.
Okay. Well, let's take a quick break, and we'll be back with our new city manager, Yasmin Beers, and we will have more discussion with her. We're back. Again, we're having discussion with our new city manager, Yasmin Beers. We were discussing diversity, and we covered that, I think, very well. And I think we need to do, as a community, we need to do more. Not just the city is not by itself a vehicle that we need to keep saying, hey, how come you're not hiring, if we basically don't provide the proper channels to do it. I know that Armenian National Committee just had a open house where they gave information. And it's a continual advertising and continual information that needs to go out to the community. Not everyone wants their kids to be a police officer, as hard as it is now, and with all the negatives that come with it.
Absolutely, and I can't stress enough, and you're so on point in terms of making sure that, you know, a young adult may want to become a police officer or a firefighter, but if they don't have that support system in their family, sometimes it deters them from actually going through the process. And we need to educate the families as well.
Yes.
So it's not just the folks to get them in the door, but it's the families as well. So hitting kids at a young age in our school systems, in all schools, both private and public schools, the parents, churches, you know, community groups, TV stations, etc. The word needs to get out, and I think, as you said, both chiefs, Povolitis as well as Fish from the fire department, have really tried to focus in on this one issue to help us kind of open the doors and continue to look a little different
for qualified
candidates
in
the future who meet all of the requirements, who are going to be successful police officers, firefighters, and hopefully promote through the ranks.
As an Armenian American city manager,
yes, sir.
Not only do you carry your badge as a city manager in the city of Glendale, but you know, a lot of people are going to look at you to see how you would perform and what you bring to the table and how that's going to be. So you're not just a Glendalian city manager, you're a U.S. city manager, so to speak. So I'm going to put more on your shoulders than you you probably thought you had, or you know you have. How is that, having that kind of a pressure? I mean, you're a Glendalian first.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to. I always say I'm an American,
sure.
Armenian. You're an American Armenian city manager. But how do you take that responsibility, as heavy as it might be? How do you see yourself?
Honestly, I check myself on a daily basis, and if I don't check myself, my kids and my husband check me rather quickly. No joke, they do, which
spouses do a great job.
Which is healthy, because I'm clearly told that I'm not the city manager at home, by all accounts. You know, there are times where I pinch myself and think, oh my goodness, I'm here, and there is a lot on my shoulders, but I'm not alone. Yes, I sit at the helm of a fantastic organization that has really great bones. With those bones come a lot of qualified people who work hard day in and day out. And if I sat alone, then I think I'd be overwhelmed. But I don't sit alone, and I have, first and foremost, an incredible executive team of folks running the 15 different departments within the city of Glendale.
Some Armenian.
Some Armenian, absolutely. We are quite diverse, actually, on the executive team, which is fantastic. And so we have, from police and fire, as we've discussed, to community services and parks, to public works, Glendale Water and Power, you name it. We have a diverse group of folks who are running each of those departments, and they have folks running their divisions and sections. And so if I think of it holistically at times, it becomes a little overwhelming, honestly. And you just have to kind of prioritize on a daily basis. You know, the city council has 2 employees, myself and the city attorney. And the 5-member city council appoint us to make sure that their policy directives are implemented within the organization. And what does that mean? That means that they have the vision. We have to provide them with crisp, good factual information to be able to make good decisions for this community. And we do our best to do that. And ultimately, their policy direction is our job to go implement the best that we can. And when we go out and do that, hopefully, we do it well, and the quality of services within the city of Glendale have been heightened, and folks are happy. That's kind of what we focus on, and so I try not to think of it as, you know, this very large, you know, rock that I have to carry. There are times I feel that way, but truly it's, you know, let's do it one day at a time, put that vision out there and the goals, and make it happen as a team.
We're back. Again, we're having discussion with our new city manager, Yasmin. First of all, I'm sure that a lot of contractors will love the fact that you said customers comes first, and because one of the complaints I always get is, man, contractors don't want to do business in Glendale because of just the weight and the type, sometimes the type of treatment they get. And hopefully, based on what you said, I love to hear that. How do you do a long-term, long-range planning in the Glendale when every 4 years you might have a different set of city council members?
That's a great question, and it's tough. For financial forecasting, we do 5-year financial forecasting because we feel that that's pretty accurate and we can see where the market's going, and I have an incredible finance department who does a very good job, and there's a number of finance departments who want to model after our finance department. And so for financial forecasting, it's a little easier. But in terms of, you know, goal setting with council members that may change every 4 years, and truly it's really every couple of years based on the intervals of elections that you have, so they're staggered. That's an interesting kind of thought process because you do have 5 different community members who have ran on a platform, who have specific agenda items that they want to get done, complete goals, and they have to come together as a body. And I take direction from the body. So I have to have 3 or more council members on board to move forward.
Count heads,
I count heads really quickly. So that could be tough at times, but I think I've been in this business long enough to know that how I am with you, Albert Abkarian, may be a little different than the next person in terms of just relationships. And really having a foundation with each council member in terms of a relationship first and foremost. If I have that in place, which I think I have with all 5 council members even prior to becoming city manager, then hopefully I can assist in bringing them together at times to be able to move forward with certain policy directives that they want to move forward on. And even if I can't do that, we have some fantastic council members who've been doing this for a long time, and our statesmen and women who can move policy forward, knowing that it's the best thing for this organization and the city as a whole. And so it's not easy. It's not easy because I have 5 bosses. So nobody likes to have 5 different people telling them what to do. But when you have 5 decent people kind of trying to do what's right for the larger city of Glendale, you know, you find that middle ground and you help them through that process.
It's a good group now, and they usually do the right thing. I always tell, always think of what's good for the kids, 1. Sure. 2nd, because that's the future. Sure. And then do the right thing. And you know, doing the right thing means that one person thinks they're doing the right thing, the other person thinks that they're doing the right thing, and disagreement are never ever a bad thing. I remember when Larry Zarian and Ginger Bremberg and all those people would scream at each other at the city council member and then go to a bar and sit down and have dinner together. I think that's where I think the maturity comes in. It seems like this city council people have that. Once in a while, there's going to be some issues, but mainly that's something that's very, very important for a long range planning for citizens like me who want to see, okay, what city going to be in 10 years when my kid is 25 compared to 15, you know?
Sure. And the council priorities, you know, at the end of the day are kind of easy to follow in terms of the overall umbrella. There are housing issues, there are traffic issues. Safety is always at the top of that list in terms of, are we a safe city? And as you know, we're the 4th safest city in California and the 6th in the nation.
That's why I live here.
Right? And so that's important. And those are kind of priorities that the council often talks about. And I've worked with different council members over the last 18 years. Typically, those items tend to be the top 3 or 4, and they change in terms of priority, which one's number 1. That has been the crux of it, and I think you will continue to see that for a period of time.
Just a quick, I don't want to go too long into this, but just your feeling on Armenian genocide. We're going to be having a memorial coming up soon.
Yes.
So just a quick note to the viewers, and I think we'll then finish with that.
Sure. And as you know, the Week of Remembrance starts prior to the 24th of April here in Glendale. We have a number of events that are planned during that time frame, and the 24th commemorates the Armenian genocide at the Alex Theater that evening. We'll have more information on our local government access channel on that. But if folks have you know, any questions regarding receiving tickets, etc., they're more than welcome to call my office at 818-548-4844. And it's very important for us to continue to remember and continue to kind of push information forward to the non-Armenian community about the Armenian genocide. And I think Glendale's done a very good job in that.
Well, thank you again. Congratulations for being appointed, and hopefully we'll have many more of these interviews in the next 10 years, as you said, or hopefully more than that when you're city manager. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, and thank you for watching us. We hope to see you guys next week when we have other guests coming in to discuss other issues that might be of interest to you. Thank you very much, and good night.